Hey everyone, welcome to the G3 Boardroom. Today we're going to be talking about G.I. Joe deck building game. I don't know if you've seen, I don't know if we have the playthrough out yet, but we recently played through it and it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. It was a good game. G.I. Joe, how many players is this designed for?
1 to 4, I believe.
I think it's 4.
Yeah. 1 to 4.
Because I know there's special rules for like 2-player.
Yeah, it's 4. I remember it.
1 to 4.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 to 4.
Yeah, it's a solo option.
It took us a couple hours to play through it because these guys have played the game more than I have. I've just played it once. They've played it a few times.
Couple of times. You want to go, Dave?
Sure.
I notice I normally step on what you have to say, so I'm going to let you go ahead.
So you can step on it.
No, I'm a big fan of this game. A few things I really, really like about this game. Number one, your turn pretty much works as, it's 2 parts. You choose which of your guys, your Joes, your Torpedo Joes and your Deep Six Joes,
Hot Joe,
go on a mission and to see if you're successful or not. And then the second part is being able to use those same guys and their recruiting power to take cards from the I don't know what the middle's called. What is that called anyway?
Lineup?
The lineup.
Maybe.
And add them to your deck, which then goes right on top of your deck, which again allows you to draw on the very next turn. So there's a few mechanics in this game I really, really like, but the story works really well. You feel like you are actually trying to move forward in the missions. Mm-hmm. I like the whole mechanics of, you have these different vehicles you can add to your hangar, which you can use throughout the game, but they only can be used with a certain number of characters, and how many characters can be used. There's a lot of different unique things that I have not seen in other deck building games that I've seen in this one, to the point where this might be the 10th or 11th time I've played this game, and I still find it really a great time.
Yeah.
Something that was unique to this one that I really liked was that the cards that you use to attack with, you can also use to purchase with.
Exactly.
I know that in the Marvel deck builder, that's kind of an either or. And I also liked in this one that it's really a true co-op because everyone can join. Well, there's a lot of times where other players can join in on your battle and add guys to the fight. So we got some massive amounts of attacks. We're up to, at one point, 16 attack dice that we were rolling. Yeah, which is very, very helpful.
Yeah, there's only one other game I know that where attack and recruiting are the same or used at the same time. That's the DC deck builder.
DC deck builder.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't have
Which has other... That's the game that you played and smoked us at. The DC deck builder.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Like three videos ago, we were talking about this one game.
That's when we should record, so maybe people remember that you could actually win a game.
Yeah, I think we were talking about, I forget which video it was.
But what I would say about this is exactly what you guys are hinting at, which I think this takes a lot of mechanics from different deck builders. It takes the best of those mechanics, puts them in one pile, and gets rid of a lot of the useless stuff. Like I said, in Marvel Legendary, you end up with what can be wasted turns. I can't really recruit anything that I want, or I'm too short on the attack, and then it's Dave's turn, and oh man, I wish I had one more, and there's nothing I can do to help.
Yeah.
Right.
In this, it doesn't work that way. I can send a pile of guys, and then you can chip in a guy, you can chip in a guy or two, and off we go. On our last turn, we took the APC, which is an 8-man vehicle. You sent 3, I sent 2, Dave sent 3. I mean, that's all of us contributing towards a victory. It's true co-op. I like that a lot. And there's no other scoring that goes on, so it's mostly co-op, but I win. No, it's true co-op. We all win, we all lose.
It's almost like someone played those other deck builders, and it's like, okay, let's just take the good, leave out the bad.
You're right. I didn't even recognize that there's no scoring mechanism at the end of the game.
No scoring at all.
Even for like how many missions you succeed or fail at, is there a scoring mechanism to that?
No. There might be scoring in the back of the book, but there's no individualized scoring that would make Dave the winner or Jason the winner.
Because there wouldn't be, because a lot of times on those missions, you have multiple people that are contributing, so who gets the victory?
Now, something else going on in this game that I really enjoy is that when you go on these missions, you're comparing your skills. And that reminds me a lot of an old-timey collectible card game called Shadowrun, where the missions popped up, they had certain skills, and if you had those skills, you'd sleaze it, which means you'd go by without even doing the combat, you just sneak through it. And this really reminds me of it, so I like it. I'm a child of the 80s. I was big into G.I. Joe toys and the cartoon and all that stuff, so I see this stuff, and it makes me very reminiscent of that.
Very nostalgic.
And so, this game hits along all the points for me. I like the mechanics. They're great. I never feel like I have a wasted turn. It hits the nostalgia button. It hits on all those things I enjoyed. It's just good overall. Plus, I always prefer a good co-op game. I like when you guys are working, we're all working together. It makes it more fun for me. I enjoy competitive games, but I love cooperative games. We're all working together.
I kind of like the competitive games when it's like 4 or 5 people. Competitive games with 3 people, I don't know, it seems a little, I like to have at least 4. Oh, one thing that we should probably say is just to talk about the mechanics of this game a little bit. I just want to show people that, your base game is these, the different G.I. Joes here. This one's a stalker. And each Joe has these
skills.
Skills, thanks. So he'll roll 3 dice with the tracker skill, or 3 dice with the martial arts skill. So you might have some enemies that come up that you have to get 5 successes, but they all have to be marksman successes, or tech or tracker or something like that. So you've got all these different Joes that'll do that. This one here is an upgrade on your starter. So when you start, everyone gets
that's another great.
Yeah, so you get a starter Joe, call it. I chose Flint, and then when I get 6 purchasing, and he is in my deck, I can upgrade to the leader.
And he's significantly better.
Yeah.
The upgraded ones are significantly better across the board. There's not any of them where you're going, oh, well, I don't know.
No,
it's always a good choice. It took me most of the game to finally get the right combination to upgrade mine. But it's a massive increase. Look at the skills increase. You go from 2 vehicles to 3 vehicles and 3 tracker. It adds an additional skill at a high level. 3 is really good.
And those numbers represent how many dice you roll if you match up the correct skill, correct?
Right. Then you've got other things, other bonuses that might be down here in there. They go from 1 purchasing power for the starter guy up to 2. So, that's helpful.
Yeah, it's just a neat mechanic that really adds a lot to the game.
If I do have one complaint about this game, it is the dice, because the dice hate me. And I'm like 20% on hits. It's no good. I can only imagine if you're playing this from Cobra side, what the hits would look like. They'd be like 5.5 dice would all be 0s, and that'd be it.
Like stormtroopers.
Right. Exactly. Another thing I wanted to point out about this game is every card in this game, pretty much, I would say all but a handful, like 4 or 5, they're all cards you want to buy. So when you have a lot to purchase, and you start with those, you don't even purchase with them.
Right.
You don't even purchase them. Those are the comms.
The comms cards.
The comms cards are kind of weak. So.
Yeah. But all these cards you want to buy.
Yeah.
You don't have 12 recruiting and you look around saying, oh, well, I got nothing to buy. This is all lousy. And that can happen in other deck builder games as well. You just end up with bad cards in your lineup that just aren't worth having, and you buy them to either get them out of the way for something better to come out.
Right.
But in this game, everything you see, it's like, geez, that's a good card. I could use that.
I mean, the Joe cards are good. The gear cards, the utility cards,
that's
are all good.
That's the one spot where it's weak. 3 or 4 of the utility cards are just meh. They're just not that great. A couple of the gear cards are just meh. Like the gas canister. It's,
jeez.
You bought it, you were like, oh, I'll buy the gas canister. And then you actually read it, and you're like, this thing's no good.
Yeah, it did not much use.
Yeah,
right.
the only way I could use it is if I happen to have like a bad guy in my hand. In those, if that happens, you have to play it, and it's kind of rare.
But really, I mean, the vast majority of cards, I don't like to put a percentage on, but the vast majority of cards are cards you want to have that are actually going to help you. It's very little that you end up drawing, and you're like, well, that's just a throwaway. So,
right. And speaking of throwaway, there's a nice mechanic in this where if you win a mission, you can throw away either a Cobra guy from your deck, which is like a
It depends.
bad card, or you can throw away Can you throw
The starter Joes.
Starter Joe. Okay, you can't
Yeah.
throw anything else away.
Okay. If they're part of the mission, these starting cards in your hand, these starter Joes, you can discard them, get them out of your deck.
And if you ever played a deck building game, you know that those starting cards quickly become useless. They're just taking up space.
Right.
Yeah.
And you want to get rid of them. And, in Marvel Legendary, those cards that murder your starters are coveted. Same thing in Bond Legendary. You can get rid of those starters. You're increasing the efficiency of your deck. You're drawing the better things faster. And that's just a mechanic. It's right on the card. You used it. It was successful. Get rid of it. That I think is great. It's a great game. And not only that, it's relatively cheap. It's like a $35 game. That's not bad.
No.
It really isn't. I know they've already got an expansion announced for this. I'm excited for it. Add some more stories to it.
But you guys have played this, I don't know if we said this before or during this recording, but you say you've played it many times before, but you still haven't gotten through everything. It still seems new because you have 4 missions that are always the same, but then the other 5 are randomized.
But even the 4 that are always the same, depends on which mission you're playing. Are you playing mission 1 or mission 2? Because that even adds some variety to it.
There's 3 acts to each story.
And there are chapters.
There's 3. Okay, that's better because I can't say the word acts well. So there's 3 chapters, and the last mission in each of those chapters is a must-do. It has to be there. But the other 2 missions that are before it are randomized from 5. So you have 15 that are completely randomized. And so you could end up with a totally different story.
Why do they have
pretty good.
Why do they have the 2 missions? Why don't they just have 1 mission with more variety of cards?
I think because adding the second mission is actually adding a different story to follow,
Yeah, the first mission has these 3 end of chapters that never change.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you get... Okay.
Oh, that's what you're getting at. But, the first story is The Mass Device, which is a well-known G.I. Joe story. Look it up on YouTube. And then I think the second one is a completely original story by these guys. It has to do with, mind control and stuff. And it's pretty good. But, this is the kind of game where if you just sold me a pack of, here's 40 more mission cards, I'd buy that. I'd buy it in the blink of an eye.
In games like this, even if you are playing the exact same missions, there's other random things that, these,
Exactly.
The things that you come out to purchase, the things that come in your hand, there's a lot of randomness to it.
And the game was smart enough, the game designers, I should say, were smart enough that they actually added also different cards that increased the difficulty of the game.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
Yes.
Quite a bit. You can play 1, 2, or I think there's 5 different cards that they've added.
They're the expert level cards, yeah.
And they increased the difficulty quite a bit, where instead of only draw more complications per turn,
right,
draw more troopers, whatever the case may be.
So the complications are just cards that go on to your mission cards that just make it harder, add a complication.
And then there's these expert mode things, which I dare you to play with all 6 of them in play. It actually, Dave and I start playing with 2 or 3 of them in play at a time, and it does make things significantly more difficult.
Quite a bit of challenge.
So, we got stuff here. Cobra officers have +1 difficulty. It doesn't seem that bad. You start getting enough guys in those, they start chaining their abilities. When story mission enters play, you take a complication, or no, this Cobra Battalion you put in play. And you saw in the last game how quickly Cobra Battalions can build up. Well, if it gets to where you can't add one, you lose. So, and when you start putting them all in play together, it starts to make it a lot more difficult. So
the game that we played in our playthrough, we won that one. I think we won it fairly handily. We had a lot of cards left on our deck. Would you say that we got lucky, or do you think that we just played it well?
No, I think based on how many times I played this game, it's designed that when you play it with none of the expert cards added in, you're going to win. I'd say you win 90-95% of the time. I think it's designed that way so you can enjoy it, learn the mechanics. Then when you want to really when you really understand the game, you add those expert cards in to really give yourself a challenge.
That's a good point. It sucks you in. First one's a freebie.
If you're a good game designer, you're going to design a game that people are going to win, at least initially, because who wants the game that they're going to get crushed at, and people aren't going to come back.
Oh, we got one of those.
Where's Lord of the Rings at that game? Where's Lord of the Rings at?
That game is designed to eat your lunch. So
it's a good point. The early ones are easy, and then then you can make it harder later. So
there is one thing that I did notice going from 2 players to 3. it does seem like there is a player in 3-player that kind of gets edged out. Whenever we play this with 3, it's like somebody gets edged out and they're not filtering as many good cards into their deck. It happens. But the mechanics are such that even if that person's not getting the big benefits, they're still helping with other things going on.
Who was that in our game?
Me!
I know that
He
you
was
were
talking about.
you were rolling bad. But
That too, yeah. So
I didn't realize you weren't getting good
I
cards.
never felt like none of us were like just sitting around watching.
I just felt like I wasn't getting quality stuff in my deck. You know,
I
a
think
lot
you're
of
upset
times.
from turn 1 when he grabbed Spirit and Freedom, and you're like,
That upset me. That's my guy. That's my guy. It hurt. You know, it hurt. You know. Sometimes your actions hurt.
Spirit and Freedom, Joe.
Spirit and Freedom Joe, yeah.
Yeah.
All of them Joe. It's the Joe family. It's the yeah.
And this guy's not a stalker. His name is Stalker.
Stalker Joe.
Yeah, watch the playthrough. I like that. I'm going to add a stalker.
Yeah.
But no, I think this is a very good game. I like it
I would
very
highly
much.
recommend it. I'm a big proponent of this
Yeah,
one.
I'd highly recommend it. If you're a fan of G.I. Joe, it's excellent. If you're a fan of deck builders, it's excellent.
If you're a
It's
fan
good
of
game.
deck builders, it's got enough unique mechanics and just it's just fun.
And it's relatively new, so you can go out there and get it before word starts to spread.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, expansion on its way, and I'll be picking that up too. So, and I'll force you to play that.
If you insist.
Yes. Twist your arm.
Well, that was kind of a short video. Usually the videos are shorter when we really, really like the game. We don't have that much crabbing to do about it. But
Don't get him started. He'll crab and
I will
crab.
crab. My ability to crab will exceed your ability to listen.
5 seconds is about my limit.
all right. Well, thanks for everyone for watching, and thanks to our subscribers. And go out and get G.I. Joe. We'll see you next time.